Hello, welcome to another Racquet review. Today I will be reviewing the Wilson Blade version 8, both the 1619 version and the 18x20 version. But before we jump into the review, I just want to mention Tennis Warehouse Europe and thank them for providing me these demo rackets for me. And you can also use my discount code at Tennis Warehouse Europe for a 10% discount. So with that mentioned, we can go right into the review and get right into the frames. So this blade is, as mentioned, the version 8. The previous was of course version 7, and then we had version 6, the one with counter rail, which is discussed a lot, but this version 8 doesn't have any counter rail. It has other technologies. So we can start off with the old technology that's called Field Flex, which the V7 had. It's now called 45, and I think in the new Wilson Pro Staff it also has the same technology. It's some sort of braided graphite in a way, which makes the layup different and better feedback and comfortable and so on. And then Wilson have also used something they call direct connect technology, which is when they put the butt cap directly to the carbon fiber, so the handle is supposed to be more stable and provide more stability in your ground strokes. So what changed from the version 6 to the version 7 and 8 is this, the stiffness. The stiffness became a lot lower, and now it has become even lower from the previous version at stiffness rating at 61. We can check the other specifications on the blade 16x19 we can start off with. So of course 98 square inches is the blade 98. Unstrung weight 305 grams. Balance unstrung 32 centimeters. Swing weight 317. Stiffness 61. Beam width 21 millimeters. And the string pattern is of course 16x19. So this racket was easy to convert into from other frames. It's sort of a all-round frame, pretty decent sweet spot and stability and so on. It's nothing special. It's maybe a little bit more controlled than your average tweener racket, so it's more suited in the control line and feel line, primarily because of the thinner beam, which doesn't give you that pop that maybe a Radical would give you. So the racket is definitely a control orientated racket, but it provides still great topspin and spin overall, because the string pattern is more open than a traditional controller racket, more like the 18x20 that I will go through later. So one thing I noticed from the start is that the weight isn't that high. That's something you can of course change by yourself and customize, but for me I felt that the weight was too low in stock form, so I actually added some weight in the throat area to bump the weight up without messing up the balance too much, just for the test itself. But overall I had some troubles at the start of the test to get comfortable with timing and so on, as with all rackets, but later on in the test, maybe after half a week, in a couple of hours of hitting, I actually felt that this racket was a really great racket, really comfortable. I could go for all my shots, full power, all the confidence in the world without hitting outside the lines, because it still has great precision, because this 16x19 string pattern is open, because it's 16x19, but it's still more dense than a typical power frame. So it's still pretty controlled in that way. It does have a higher launch angle than an 18x20, but it offers more spin, and therefore for me and my game and swing style, I can go for my shots without overhitting. But if we then go over to the 18x20, we can look at the specs on the screen. They're very similar. It has a bit of a higher swing weight, and the stiffness is lower on the ratings, but there's nothing you would feel when hitting the racket. Otherwise, the balance and the weight are the same, the beam width, but the difference is the swing weight and the string pattern. So in theory, that will create a more controlled, a more tighter and stiff string bed, and that's exactly what happened. Also a lot less topspin access when hitting with the frame. So at least in the first practice session I had a lot of troubles to really get the ball dipping inside the court, at least with my backhand side. The forehand was easier because I typically hit more topspin with my forehand compared to my backhand. But still it was troubles when playing points, when I didn't have the same amount of time when doing drills, because the pace is a little bit faster. Maybe I can't really do full swings as full and as much power as I would want to in a drill. So for me it became a little bit too difficult for me to perform with this kind of string pattern. But it's not only the string pattern that makes this so difficult for me, because when I had my playtest with the Prestige Pro, which is a even more controlled frame, 18x20, a bit thinner beam even, I didn't have the same troubles when playing it, and I believe it's because of the weight. The Prestige has more weight, which means more power, more plow through, and that became a bit easier for me to play with, because this frame, the blade, has a low strung weight and unstrung weight, and in that case it doesn't make such a powerful frame, and therefore it gets more difficult to use when creating pop, power and spin and so on when hitting. So for me it became really difficult without the mass from the frame driving through the ball, with me having to generate both the power and the spin all by myself. It became a bit too much. With a Prestige I don't have to generate all the power by myself, I just have to focus on the spin department, but with this Blade 18x20 I have to focus on both hitting really hard to get the power I want and to hit extremely fast with the upward swing to get the topspin I want. So that became really difficult for me. So that's why I overall enjoy the 16x19 more, because of the more easy access to spin. The 16x19 was strung with Headling's Tour at 24 in the mains and 23 in the crosses, and 18x20 was strung with Headlings in both mains and crosses at 23 kilos. So if you want to check out these records by yourself or demo them, you can always go to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe. If you want to demo, you can have them for at least a week, and hopefully that will give you an idea of the racket and how it plays and how it feels. Because in the end, at least what I think is the feel and the connection you have with the racket and the string bed is the most important when buying a new racket and hitting with a racket. Other than that, it's a great racket. I have nothing really to complain on, because although I didn't like the 18x20, I think with some more weight it would definitely be more playable for me. But some might like it with the 3 or 5 grams, and some might not. But in stock form I would definitely recommend the 16x19 for most players. But that will be all for this racket review. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please remember to subscribe if you enjoy my type of content, and remember to check out Tennis Warehouse if you want to buy something or demo a racket. Hope you had a great time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.